Romans chapter 14, verses 1 through 6. Accept the one whose faith is weak without quarreling over disputable matters. One person's faith allows them to eat anything, but another, whose faith is weak, eats only vegetables. The one who eats everything must not treat with contempt the one who does not, and the one who does not eat everything must not judge the one who does, for God has accepted them. Who are you to judge someone else's servant? To their own master servants stand or fall, and they will stand, for the Lord is able to make them stand. One person considers one day more sacred than another considers every day alike. Each of them should be fully convinced in their own mind. Whoever regards one day as special does so to the Lord. Whoever eats meat does so to the Lord, for they give thanks to God. And whoever abstains does so to the Lord and gives thanks to God. Paul encouraged believers in Rome to not focus on their small, non-consequential differences in conviction. There's a tension Paul draws about the strength of a person's faith. He portrays someone with a lot of faith as someone with more liberal tendencies in terms of what they eat and as a symbol of their lifestyle in general, while someone with weaker faith eats only vegetables. This comparison draws out a bigger picture that often humans act according to their measure of faith. Someone with less faith will cling to rules, regulations, and rock-solid principles, seeking to put rails on their life, while someone with more faith and trust in the Lord will feel less and less need to do those things. However, they're both right and valid, and Paul, in the grace of God, encourages them not to criticize and judge one another for it. He highlights the need to assume positive intent. They do what they do unto the Lord, and that is deserving of respect. And respect is something we find harder and harder to do as time continues. We are given to toxic comparison, and we tend to spend our time and effort seeing things in others that we think they either should be doing or should not be doing. We feel a burden in a way to be the thought police of what essential faith and practice is. Paul here says it is the opposite. We should assume other believers have godly intentions. If you know someone who doesn't eat certain foods, celebrates certain holidays, or chooses to worship on a different day, our attitude should be good for them. They're living out what they're convicted to do. Likewise, if someone has liberty or they don't do it like you, we should also own our convictions for us, but assume positive intent that they love the Lord and the Holy Spirit is leading them in a different direction than you're going. We can apply this in three specific ways. First, understanding that differing levels of conviction and the need for rules are not judgment worthy. It's a tricky thing to navigate because Paul clearly portrays the need for rules here as having a weaker faith. But the message of the passage is not to judge the level of someone else's faith journey as a proposition, but rather to accept and love everyone where they're at without judgment. Don't allow your license and someone else's need for rules and rails to be a stumbling block for either person. Secondly, assume positive intent. Jesus never said they who aren't for us are against us. He said the inverse. When in doubt, do what Jesus did. He knew we were all born in sin, but he did not assign evil motives to every human. He wept with mourners, celebrated with the cheerful, and was careful to teach the disciples to wait for hostility to manifest before resisting and opposing. He started from a place of openness, and we should follow suit. And as we learn the convictions and motives of others, we need to accept them for what they are instead of painting them in a certain light out of our own convictions. This goes against what we've been taught since childhood, which is to look at everyone else, compare and contrast through our own lens. That's just not the way. Finally, and most importantly, I would say, we need to resist that toxic comparison. Look, you're on a unique path. Your circumstances are unique, your relationship with God is unique, and you have different levels of faith and conviction than someone else will. You are an apples and oranges comparison with every other human in terms of where you're at, where your maturity level is at, how much faith you have versus how much moral conviction. Everybody's different. Now, we need to understand the difference between blatant sin or a lifestyle choice made in liberty through someone's conviction. For example, I don't like smoking. I don't smoke, I never have. But lots of Christians do and are shamed for it. Same thing with alcohol in moderation and the use of other substances. Same with tattoos. Some get tattooed all over with Christian imagery, and some feel like they're going to hell for the butterfly they got on their shoulder when they were 18. We see a lot of Christians fishing for rules on these things, where the Bible doesn't specifically and directly speak. And even saying that, someone's going to come with an obscure Leviticus verse about tattoos. Save your calories, keyboard prophet. They ignore or create false historical narratives to support their desperate need for ironclad rules about these things. But those of weaker faith need more rules. Those of stronger faith exercise their liberty. And then both sides go in on each other to find the objective right answer because they can't possibly live in tension with their convictions versus others. And there is no right answer. Stop comparing yourselves and go with what God is convicting you about, and let other people talk to the same Holy Spirit for themselves. In the end, we're all accountable for us.